Wide World Special.
Good Night America, a second-generation TV news magazine. Tonight, a report on the life and death of martial arts legend Bruce Lee, with insights from his mother Grace and his brother Robert, and a demonstration of Kung Fu Karate by the world's greatest fighters. Then, Good Night America.
Thank you. Hello again, and welcome back. Two great legends will be profiled on tonight's edition of Good Night America. One legendary figure is a man named Bruce Lee, who was also known for his fancy footwork. Before he died 2 years ago, at the age of 32, Bruce had made the martial art of Kung Fu one of the most popular pastimes in the country, and everybody from 5-year-old kids to United States senators are wearing Kung Fu costumes and dreaming of killing muggers with their bare hands. In his own way, Bruce Lee is as important to young people now as James Dean was in the 60s. And with the help of his mother and brother tonight, we'll be examining the life and death of the superhero. Bruce Lee, a legend who's become larger than life, is first, and in the unlikely event that you've never seen his violent kung fu ballets, here's a clip from his last and probably his best film. It's called Enter the Dragon. Those films were best known for their dialogue, obviously. Because he was so young and such a fanatic about physical fitness, Bruce Lee's death from natural causes at the age of 32 attracted a huge amount of speculation. When Good Night America continues in just a couple of minutes, we'll be joined by Bruce Lee's mother and brother, who can hopefully tell us about Bruce and help set the record straight. That comes just in 2 minutes right after this. Even before Enter the Dragon was released, Bruce Lee had become one of the biggest box office attractions in the world. But as he was sorting through scores of offers for more and even bigger movies, he died in Hong Kong, where he and his family had been living at the time. At first, the press stories gave his cause of death as cannabis poisoning. Cannabis, as I'm sure many of you know, is the technical term for hashish and marijuana. But since nobody had ever heard of anyone dying from cannabis, many young people just didn't buy that explanation. And a later autopsy indicated that he had died from a cerebral edema, which I find out is a swelling of the brain apparently caused by an allergic reaction to some medication he was taking for a painful back injury. In any case, his mom and his brother are with us now to tell us more about the man karate experts are now calling the Galileo of the martial arts. So please welcome Grace and Robert Lee. I know that Bruce was born in the United States, but where was he raised? Where did he grow up?
He was raised in Hong Kong.
Is that where he learned the martial arts, Kung Fu?
when he was 13 years old.
How did he get started in the martial arts?
He started with Yip Man, a Chinese instructor.
Why, though? Robert, maybe you can answer. Why did Bruce get into Kung Fu and the martial arts?
Well, Bruce kind of grew up as a violent kid, and he was always involved in fights and things like that. And one day, he and his buddy was in a restaurant eating, and after the meal, they came out, and they were surrounded by a rival gang somehow. So they got into a fight, and luckily at that point in time, we had a driver at home that drive them to school and things like that. And he came in the right time, right place, and the gang, seeing the car approaching, they just fled. And that sort of more or less saved Bruce in a way. So after that, Bruce decided that he should protect himself in a better way, any way he can, really. So he talked to his friends, and at that point in time, Wing Chun was the in thing. Wing Chun is a system of martial arts, Chinese Kung Fu, that believes in economy, straight punches and things like that. And to him, at that point, was the most logical approach for protection. So he decided to talk to this old gentleman by the name of Yip Man, who later became his instructor.
And how old was he then?
He was about 13, 14, around that age.
When did he start in the movies? That's
When he was 6 years old.
just 6 years old.
Uh-huh, yeah, he started.
He was making movies in Hong Kong?
In Hong Kong, yeah.
But obviously they weren't these kind of kung fu movies because he didn't learn until he was 13. So what kind of movies were they?
He used to play like a rascal.
Like the Little Rascals, the
Yeah.
American Little Rascals? I know he was Kato in the old Green Hornet? Green Hornet series on American TV. How do you feel about the fact, Robert, that he kind of eliminated the old Oriental Asian stereotype in American movies and TV, you know, the Charlie Chan, Fu Manchu, insidious kind of weak person who is always doing evil things? Yeah?
I'm glad you asked that question because all along in his life, Bruce was, had been watching the tube and films and things and seeing really the Chinese stereotype that you were talking about. And he said, if I ever have the chance to go up on this film like that or stage, I would never portray something like that. He said that's really a disgrace to the Chinese culture. And he said, Lord help me, let me bring the Chinese, in equality with all the other races. And I'm glad that he did that.
Why do you think he was so successful? Why do you think that he managed so, well, dramatically and eloquently to portray Chinese people as something other than they had been portrayed, particularly by, American filmmakers in the past? Why? Why did he make it so big?
Okay, my dad, I don't know if you know about this, he was involved in Cantonese opera for a long time, at least 40 years. And he was one of the best in China, so you can say that Bruce grew up in a show business family. And that's one aspect. The other one is that he has really a dynamic personality, and he can really project that personality in front of the screen or in front of people. And the third thing is that he is very sincere in what he's doing, and that really is the most important aspect as far as I can see.
Sometimes when you talk about Bruce, you use the present tense.
I still do, I always will.
Why?
Because I don't know, it's something that is in all of us that know him or see him through the film. I don't know, I feel his presence all the time with me. When I'm maybe playing my guitar or singing or walking down the street, whatever. He's always with me. And I guess it goes true with everybody that knows him.
Mrs. Lee, why do you think that people identified so closely with your son?
He's a very nice person, my son. He always helped people, that needed him, and he's kind of when somebody wants to, like Robert, my son, his brother, if anybody tried to bully him or anything like that, you can never do anything to, our family. He always protects. He's a very nice son.
He was married himself, wasn't he?
Yes, in the United States, in Seattle.
Did he have any kids?
Yes, he has two. A son named Brandon and the daughter Shannon.
Is the son a martial artist?
Oh yes, he can kick an inch board when he's 5 years old.
Really? He could
Yes.
shatter an
Yeah,
inch?
Bruce would hold it like that, and he'd say,
Yeah.
come on, Brandon, do something, So Brandon will, okay, Daddy, and Bruce said, come on.
Yeah.
Do it with the killing instinct. And, he would just run right to the sideboard. to the board and kick it with a side kick and just break it.
I don't want to ask a hurtful question now, but are you satisfied with the official reasons given for your brother's death, Robert?
Yes and no. I have seen the autopsy report. And officially, he really did die of edema of the brain, which you just stated. But knowing Hong Kong myself with so many different people, all kinds of weird people, and especially Bruce's friends, some of them, it's just like a mystery to me too, in a way.
Why did he assume such mythical proportions in life and even more so after death?
Well, what he did on screen is something that was new and is new and nobody has yet done before. And he just played a true, sincere martial artist in film, and he really managed to project that image. And I guess when the public saw that, it's just something that's never seen before, and it's something that is really dynamite and dynamic. And I believe in myself, even though I'm his brother.
Best of luck to you both. Thank you for coming on. We'll talk a little bit more about your brother with some of the great masters, two champions who will be demonstrating the violent art form that Bruce Lee perfected. That comes right after this, and thank you both again. The centerpieces and the main attractions in any of the Bruce Lee films were always the kung fu fighting scenes, and one of the classic encounters was between Bruce Lee and an American actor and martial arts master named Chuck Norris. The film was The Return of the Dragon. Take a look at it. Chuck Norris, who was in that segment, hails from Southern California, and he's one of the world's foremost, that's redundant, one of the world's foremost kung fu experts and champions in this country, and he's with us now. Please welcome Chuck Norris.
Thank you. How long did it take you to film that segment?
We took 5 days on that film there. Bruce, he called me from Hong Kong and said he wanted to do a film where it would be, do a fight scene that would be classic. And so we did a lot of study and did a lot of research to work this film out, the fight scene out, very, thorough.
What was it like working with him?
Well, I met Bruce 9 years ago in New York City when I was fighting professionally, and I was fighting for the world title. And when he was on the Green Hornet series.
Right.
And I met him here in New York, in fact. And after the fight, after I won, we went to the Americana Hotel where he and I both were staying. As we're going up the elevator, we started talking about our philosophies and our techniques. As we got to the 7th floor, which is the one he was staying on, I was staying on the 9th, we were still talking, so we stepped out into the hallway, and we started talking. This like 11 o'clock at night, and we worked out till 7 o'clock the next morning. And it seemed like it was an hour had gone by. This guy had so much knowledge, so much technique, that it was just a fascinating night. And then, since we were both from Los Angeles, I told him, well, when we get back, let's work out. So we did, and then he left soon after for Hong Kong. And then afterwards, when Bruce and I did the scene in Rome, after it was over, we were talking, and we were looking in the arena, and he said, I wonder what it would have been like 1,500 years ago, to be doing this for real, like the gladiators in the arena. Because that was the concept of the story, was to see two gladiators combating in modern days. And so he said it would be interesting to see what it had been 1,500 years ago. He says, we might have had to fight each other for real then. I said, well, I don't know, And he says, well, you might have been able to beat me, for real. I said, we'll never know, will we? So.
Can I ask you a personal question?
Sure.
Were you ever a 90-pound weakling? Is that why you get into this?
Well, yeah, I was small. It's the same old story. You say, well, he stays a 9-pound weekend, but I wasn't really an athlete in school, and I really didn't get involved in any real sports. I tried it, like American sports. If you're not really athletically inclined, you don't get a chance to play.
Right.
And what I like about the martial arts is the fact whether you are athletically inclined or not, you can still participate, and you can be as good as you want to be. And like when I started, I tell people this, because I don't have the hang-ups anymore I did then, is that I was not an athlete, but I had the strong desire to excel in the martial arts, and through my desire and my determination, I was a world champion for 6 years. And so I say, if I can do it, anyone can do it if you have that determination.
We've also been joined, Chuck and folks, by Alex Sternberg, who's a 25-year-old Orthodox rabbi, of all things, who started learning the martial arts 13 years ago to protect him from bullies in his rough, tough Brooklyn neighborhood. So, Alex, welcome to you, too.
Thank you.
What's a nice rabbi like you doing in a costume like that?
I must say that when I started training in karate, I, of course, wasn't a rabbi at the time. I was going to a yeshiva, a rabbinical academy in the Williamsburg section of Brooklyn.
Where I lived for 5 years, too, so I know.
Well, I don't have to tell you, it's relatively a rough neighborhood. And the kids coming out of the school and going back to the school used to get picked on quite a few occasions. And there was absolutely no physical fitness program provided. So I started going down to the local Y, and a Korean instructor came down to the Y to offer his services as an instructor, and it got to be very interesting. And that was about 13 years ago, around 1962. And since that time, I got very into the martial arts in general. And at the urging of one of my instructors, I got back into the Brooklyn communities. And since then, I've been teaching predominantly Jewish youngsters, predominantly yeshiva kids who have no physical fitness. And generally, they have the image of patsy-type kids who, you can pick on them because they don't know how to fight. So, toward that end, I started an organization a little while ago called the Jewish Karate Union, which provides instructors in Jewish neighborhoods and generally offers its services by way of introducing karate into the community at large.
What degree of competency are you now?
I'm 4th degree black belt.
And Chuck, what are you?
I'm a 5th degree.
Well, it should be a close contest. I understand you have a little demonstration to give us, but you don't make contact.
No, when you do fight scenes, naturally, if we made contact, we wouldn't have a partner very long. So, if you notice from camera angles, if they always shoot from an angle where you cannot see the depth of the kick or the punch. Again, so that way it looks like the contact is made. Of course, sometimes we'll make light contact, to the body or whatever, but most of the time it's always, especially to the head, we always pull it. So we, so we can put the makeup on instead of the real stuff.
Okay, pull your kicks,
Okay.
but give us a little bit of the act here. All right, here we are. Chuck Norris and Alex Sternberg going to show us some of their stuff here. Not bad. All right, very good. All right, now. Well, I'm glad you weren't making any more contact than that. I think we would have had blood and guts all over. Now, Alex, you have another demonstration to show us. So now, that demonstration was pretty violent, but I understand that the martial arts are also concentration and mental discipline. So if you want to tell me what your crazy friend over there is about to do.
Well, actually, most people relate to the martial arts as strictly a physical application. But actually, more important than the physical application is the mental conditioning that you develop, which increases your concentration span. What Alex is going to do is he's going to lay suspended between two chairs or whatever boards there, with his head and his feet only supporting his body. Then I'm going to put 2 concrete slabs on his chest, and then I'm going to break him with a sledgehammer.
You're going to have 2 flaming concrete slabs on his chest.
And you're going to light the flames.
So I'm going to be an accessory before the fact here. And then you're going to break them with the sledgehammer on his chest, balanced just with his head and his feet.
Right.
All right, well.
Quiet.
Okay, Alex.
I'll get it. I'll get it up here.
All right, I'll get this far. Ready? Okay. Up. Okay. Let me just give this a quick squirt here. A few flames coming up. Let me get this. All right. All right, now he's just supported, as you can see, I hope.
The other way.
All right, now I'm about to light this stuff.
Ready with the hammer.
All right, wait a second. My matches don't work here. Here, Chuck, you want to squirt this thing?
Okay.
This. All right.
Do me a favor. Let's go.
All right. Here it comes. Cinder block. Here it is. He did it. Burning over there. Congratulations. Thank you. What'd that feel like?
Pressure. Felt like I was going to get burnt to death because some of the kerosene was spilling over on my chest.
Fabulous.
I'll tell you, that was the first time I've done that myself. I didn't, I have never done that as far as hitting with the sledgehammer, so I didn't know what to do either. So I was as green as you were.
Yeah, I'm pretty green right now. I want to thank you both for coming on. You know, that was pretty, well, don't do too much of that in Brooklyn, you know?
One thing I'd like to say is the final tribute to Bruce is that some Puerto Rican people put together a documentary on the martial arts. Bruce has always said that he would like the people in America to really get the true concept of the martial arts because, again, they think of it strictly as blood and guts and fighting. And some men in Puerto Rico put together a film to show the authenticity of the martial arts. Alex Sternberg and myself are in the film, plus many, many of the top martial arts all over the world are in this movie here. And I think for the first time in the United States when this film is released, people will really see the martial arts in its true form.
Okay.
And this is a tribute to Bruce.
Okay, well, we look forward to it. Thank you,
Thank
Chuck
you.
Norris, for coming on. Alex Sternberg, thank you very much. All right, these guys were pretty good, but the real fight of the century is coming up right after these words. All right, Chuck and Alex, thank
Everybody
you.
was kung fu fighting.
My feet are freezing. All right, now I'm really started to get into this, and they had to look far and wide to get me an appropriate opponent, because of the high degree of my white belt. If you saw my opponent walking down the street, you might think he was a cute kid, because here he is, until you made him angry. Then he'd put you into acute pain. Ladies and gentlemen, the youngest person ever to be certified a black belt at 3'10" and 70 pounds, Mr. Jimmy Lee Hulley. Okay, Jimmy. Mr. V is Jimmy's teacher. When did he start, learning?
Jimmy was 6 years old when he started, and he saw an ad in the paper about two little children, and he kept bugging his father to take him into karate. Father thought that he would give it up. 3 years later, here he is, a Grand National Champion 2 years in a row, winner of over 70 awards, 40-some first places, and not quite 90 pounds wringing wet.
Jimmy, do you want to go into the martial arts, or do you want to, finish school, be a movie star? What do you want to do? I know you're going to be in Joe Namath's movie, so which do you prefer?
Probably.
You like all of them. Do you think you could ever, be another Bruce Lee when you get a little taller? I wouldn't say grow up, just get a little taller.
Probably not.
How come?
Because I wouldn't, work out.
Well, you look pretty good to me there.
We're kind of hoping that Bruce started, I believe, when he was 13, and Jimmy started when he was 6, so we're pretty proud of him in Youngstown. But I'm going to ask you to curl your foot this way, if you will, and put the ball of your foot out, just like that. Curl the toes, get those piggies back. Here we go. All right, now I'm going to hold this for you. Jimmy, hold this, please. All right, would you step over there? And, real, would you please just kick right through it, curl your toes, and concentrate through it.
I'll give it a sucker kick.
All right, sucker kick.
Concentrate.
Listen. And
Great, that was great.
No. Well, listen, while you're down there, could you kneel down, please, and face that way? We have another little something that I don't think you're prepared for yet. Jim, would you come out here and assist me? Just kneel down. Maybe you could face that way. Just kneel straight down, and just like you're going to. Right. Jim, hold this. Would you put your two hands there, please?
Where, here?
Right. Now, what we're going to do, folks.
I don't trust that kid.
See, what we're going to do. Jimmy is assisting me in making ready the neck, just to show you that this is just a nice little paring knife here.
What's happening back there?
Oh, nothing. Don't worry about a thing. Maybe just straighten your head up a little bit. That's it. Now, we're going to put this in here.
Oh, God.
Now, can we get a good tight shot on this?
Is that the knife that I saw over there?
There we go. All right, Jimmy, can you step back there? Move back, Jim. All right, now that's an ordinary, everyday garden variety radish. Now, please be quiet because we want to concentrate on this, and we do want to finish the show. You moved. Don't move again. No, it's not over. Not over. Just don't move. There it is, rolling.
Oh, great.
What's that on the knife? What's on the knife?
Yeah, what are those little red things on that knife?
Corpuscles.
All right.
Now that's the weapon that we do now.
But that's, oh, God.
Are you wet back there?
Yeah, I'm wet all over now. All right, now that's great, but let's say that, he's a little kid, let me give him just a right jab. Let's see how he does
Sure,
against
he's a
the
little
right
kid.
jab.
All right, supposing you want to throw a punch at him. Right. That's a right jab. Anything else?
No, that's all.
You've come through very nicely, and we'd like to award you at this time from the House of Karate, the American Karate Association certification for first degree or 8th degree white belt, beginner degree. That's the lowest that you can get.
The pits of karate. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you. All right, the boys and girls in the band, a dramatic change of pace when we come back right after this. Thank you again. That's it. That's the end of the program. Peace. Thanks for watching, and good night, America.
At the dawning of the morning, on the hour of the dragon, high atop